If you're not going to help with the housework, then get out. My husband and I were living with our eldest son and his wife, and we were contributing $3,000 to the household every month. However, this is the kind of abuse we received from our daughter-in-law. She has also harassed us in other ways. This made me and my husband mad. We want nothing to do with a woman like her anymore. We decided to get our revenge. My name is Catherine. I am 62 years old, working part-time, and live with my husband John, who is of the same age. John is a kind and hard-working office worker, so we have a stable income and we have never had a major quarrel. We have a son named Tom, who is 32 years old. Tom, who resembles his father, has grown up to be a very kind person. After graduating from university, he joined a private company and works diligently. 2 years ago, he married a woman named Emily, whom he met at the same company. But it turns out Emily was terrible. Emily seemed sincere and sweet when we first met her. Tom told us she is very diligent at work and has a good reputation with her superiors. Emily is 6 years younger than Tom, and although we were initially concerned about their age difference, we felt that Tom would be okay marrying her. After their wedding, Tom and Emily started living together in an apartment. After getting married, Emily said, "I'll take over all the household chores on behalf of Tom," and became a full-time housewife. It seemed like Tom was really grateful for that. Because Emily takes care of the household chores so well, I can focus on my work. I'm truly grateful. Both my husband and I had no doubt that our son had married a good woman, but over time, Emily began to show her true colors. First, there was an occasion where all the relatives gathered for New Year's, and we saw Emily there. However, at first, I didn't recognize her. This was because she had drastically changed her appearance. When we had met her previously, Emily had black hair and didn't wear heavy makeup. She looked very much like a quiet and demure woman, but now she has transformed into a flashy blonde like a teenager. She also wore a big necklace around her neck, making it hard to believe she was the same person. Not only my husband, but also the other relatives were taken aback by her drastic transformation. That's when Tom stepped in to smooth things over. "I'm sorry for surprising you all. One day, I came home from work, and suddenly Emily had changed her look like this. It was a huge shock for me too. But she does all the housework properly, and we have no problems. Besides, Emily is a full-time housewife. Please let this go." Hearing this, I felt relieved. If Tom says it's okay, then it's fine. I was just surprised by her changed appearance. I'm sorry for that. We shouldn't judge people by their looks, and it's not my place to complain. The others also seemed to agree. After that, we all enjoyed drinking together. However, an incident occurred with Emily. She got heavily drunk and began hurling insults at the people around her. "Hey, you dare to defy me? You know, in middle school, I once took down 3 classmates at once." It seemed that she had a bad habit when drunk. Even towards me and my husband, she ranted, "Why aren't you guys dead yet? You all nuisances. Nobody's happy with you alive." Those words deeply hurt me. Even when drunk, there are things one should and shouldn't say. My husband looked angry too. He was clearly surprised and said, "Hey, you've gone too far. Apologize." However, even to Tom, Emily retaliated. "You are the one who dumps all the housework on me. Don't act so high and mighty. A scrawny man like you? I could knock you down in an instant." After that, Emily only got more unruly. She verbally attacked everyone inside, causing trouble. Eventually, she passed out from the alcohol and finally quieted down, but the mood was completely ruined. Everyone was angry at Emily. One of the relatives then remarked, "Emily mentioned earlier about knocking down her classmates. Was she a troubled kid?" "No, Emily graduated from a national university. I thought she was genuinely a serious person at heart, but..." Despite what Tom said, that relative looked skeptical. Just because she claims to have led an honest life doesn't mean there's solid proof, right? Maybe we should investigate her past and find out what kind of person she truly is. I agreed with this. Given the situation, Tom also seemed to take it seriously and promised to look into it. Emily had already lost her parents and didn't have much contact with the relatives, so a private detective was hired for investigation. The results showed that Emily had been quite a troublemaker in junior high and had been the leader of a delinquent group. Even the most notorious delinquents in the area were subservient to Emily. From the senior year of junior high, perhaps due to her future prospects, she appeared to become serious and graduated from a national university. However, it seems she still had a thing with the delinquent group. We even found out that while Tom was at work, she invited her delinquent friends over. Moreover, they were so loud that it started an argument with the neighbors. It turned out that Emily was just hiding her true nature and was quite a character. Tom was so shocked that he suggested they get a divorce. "I'm sorry, I promise I will behave from now on. I need you, Tom. Please, I beg you, don't divorce me." Crying, she went back to her old attire, pulled out her smartphone, and deleted her friends' contacts in front of Tom. She also called and apologized to the relatives who had been harassed at the New Year gathering. I received a call as well, and she apologized multiple times. Tom reconsidered when he saw the extent of her efforts. As a result, they didn't divorce and continued their married life. After all, Tom is the one married to Emily. My husband and I decided to respect Tom's decision and not interfere too much. I met Emily during summer and her attitude has changed drastically. I thought it might be alright after all, but then one day, while I was working part-time, I lifted a heavy box. Suddenly, I felt a sharp pain in my back and couldn't move at all. Other staff hurriedly took me to the hospital, and I was told it was a severe case of a thrown out back and was advised to rest for a while. When I informed Tom about this over the phone, he responded with this suggestion: "Why not take this opportunity to live with Emily and me? Of course, it will be all four of us, including Dad. Both you and Dad are getting on in years, and I think incidents of injuries and illness might increase. It would be better if Emily and I were around in case something happens." He has a point. Once my back healed, my husband and I, along with our eldest son and his wife, discussed and formally decided to live together. My husband and I live in a big house, so there was no problem for the four of us to live together. Therefore, our eldest son and his wife moved in with us, and our shared life began. Initially, everything went very smoothly. Emily did half of the household chores, significantly reducing my burden. My husband and I contributed from our salaries, putting $3,000 into the household every month. I couldn't contribute much since I work part-time, but I wanted to alleviate the financial burden on our eldest son and his wife, even if it was just a little. However, Emily gradually started to change her attitude. First, she would often say she wasn't feeling well and push household chores onto me. At first, I took her word for it and did most of the chores for her, but Emily seemed perfectly fine. She would even have seconds at meal times, and her complexion looked healthy. Moreover, she started going out for the whole day, claiming she was going out to play. Emily, I don't want to say this, but are you truly feeling unwell? You seem pretty lively, and you're out a lot. Taking a deep breath, I asked her that, only to be met with a fierce glare from Emily. What? Are you saying I'm a liar? Try mocking me and see what happens. I'll knock you out. I was taken aback. Such crude language she used. At the same time, I realized she wasn't sorry at all. She might not want to separate from Tom, but it was clear she was only pretending that she changed. Emily, perhaps thinking I was scared of her, snorted in amusement. Scared, are you? I guess so. I've been playing the demure woman up until now, but I've reached my limit with that. From now on, I'll fully embrace my true self. You know what happens if you go against me, right? Emily probably threatened people like this during her school years. Maybe she's continued doing so into adulthood because it worked on her peers. It would be a lie if I said I wasn't scared of Emily, but I've lived for 62 years, and I'm not the type of buckle under the threats of a former delinquent. I responded firmly. If your harassment goes too far, it might become a crime. You know, I'm not your robot and I won't just do as you say. If you do anything, I won't hesitate to report it to the police. I coldly warned her. Emily was clearly taken back by my unexpected response, though she quickly retaliated. Shut up, I won't forgive you. Emily's loud shout brought Tom and my husband running, clearly startled. It was Saturday that day, so everyone was at home. I quickly explained the situation to them, and both looked displeased. We all agreed that we should discuss it immediately. My husband said to Emily, "First, apologize to Catherine." But Emily had no intention of apologizing. Instead, she crossed her arms in the defiant manner. Why should I apologize to that old hag? I thought I'd had Catherine handle the housework, so that's why I agreed to live here. Despite that, my burden hasn't reduced as much as I hoped. What's wrong with being angry at someone old and useless who's just a burden? Tom, my husband, and I were all in shock. How selfish could she be to have that as her reason for living with us? Emily continued with more audacious words. No matter what anyone says, I won't change. From now on, you all will be my hands and feet. Oh, but I don't need Catherine or John. If you're too old to do the chores, then you're useless. Get out. Hearing this, my patience finally ran out. I resolved to have nothing more to do with such a woman. I planned my revenge in my head. It seemed my husband felt the same intense anger. It was rare to see him, usually so calm, with such an angry look on his face. And then he made a suggestion. Maybe we should move out then. I also felt the urge to get away from Emily immediately, so I nodded and said, yes, let's do that. My husband and I quickly packed some essentials and left immediately. Since we couldn't move large items like dressers on the spot, we decided to come back for them later. Tom said he still had things to discuss with Emily, so he chose to stay behind. After leaving the house, my husband and I headed to a cheap motel. We didn't own another property, and we didn't want to impose on friends, so we decided to stay there until we found a new place. The next day, Emily called me at 8 in the morning. I thought it would be best to ignore it, but she was so persistent, calling over 20 times in an hour. Even though I regretted not blocking her number earlier, I grew curious about what she wanted and decided to pick up once. "Hello, is this Catherine? I have a favor to ask you." From the other end of the line, I heard Emily's voice, feigning innocence. I immediately sensed something was up, and to be blunt, it was off-putting. From being serious to acting like a delinquent, and now this cutesy act, I wondered just how many personalities this woman had. One thing was clear: regardless of her demeanor, Emily was not to be trusted. Deciding it was a waste of time, I said, "I don't want to," and hung up immediately, blocking her number. I also blocked all her messaging apps, ensuring she couldn't reach me. Seeing this, my husband did the same. We both decided to permanently ignore any contact from Emily. In the afternoon, I received a call from Tom. "Mom, I've divorced Emily. I left the house early this morning and just filled the divorce papers. Last night, when I told Emily I wanted a divorce, she challenged me to go ahead and do it. So I didn't hesitate and left her." Hearing this, I believed my son made a wise decision. He could never be happy with a woman like her. In return, I informed him about Emily's call and her strange attempt at acting cutesy. When she was in her delinquent phase, whenever she had a fight with her boyfriend, she'd act all cutesy to make up with him. It's ridiculous that she thinks such a childish tactic would still work as an adult. She's really foolish. I completely agreed. While Emily might have a proper educational background, she is immature and arrogant. Cutting ties with her was the right choice. Actually, there's more. Emily was cheating on me. What? Really? This genuinely surprised me. As aggressive as she was, cheating too? I always suspected her of faking her health issues. She looked perfectly healthy and was often going out. So I hired a detective, and sure enough, she was cheating on me with some guy. I even have the photos as evidence. When Tom sent me the pictures, there was Emily kissing a young blonde man on the street. He looked quite flashy. I've told Emily that I'll be demanding compensation for her infidelity, and I'm serious about it. I'll also be seeking damages from the man she cheated with. Even when I told her this, she seemed so smug and unaffected. Then why do you think she called me? Who knows? Probably since I left, she wanted to know where I went. She never believed I would actually leave. She thought she could bully me into staying by her side. But now that I'm really gone, she's probably getting desperate. I sighed. Whatever the reason, I wouldn't aid such a person. I hoped she'd experience loneliness to its fullest. Eventually, my husband, Tom, and I decided on a new residence. We chose an apartment for the three of us. We considered moving back to our old house after evicting Emily, but it would be too large for Tom to live alone once we passed away. And there's a chance it would become vacant. With vacant houses being problematic, we thought it best to sell it. I don't necessarily want to live in a house. It's okay to sell it. Emily would lose her home, but that's not our concern. We still had most of our belongings at the old house, so with the help of a relative, we planned to retrieve them. Upon entering, we found Emily with an unnerving grin. I realized I can't handle being alone. Can't we all live together again? Also, I want to save money and I don't want to pay Tom any compensation. Seeing Emily unapologetic and brazenly asking for favors, I exploded with anger. When you ask for a favor, be sincere about it. Drop that flippant attitude. Regardless of how you ask, I won't grant your request. Following my outburst, my husband coldly stated, "We are selling this house, so leave as soon as possible, and make sure to properly compensate Tom. I can never love you again. Stop trying to reconcile." Tom was furious too. Suddenly, Emily dropped her act. "I thought marrying Tom with his stable income would allow me to be a housewife and have an easy life. But now I genuinely love Tom. Of course, I believe I need Catherine and John too." No matter what she said, the anger from my husband, Tom, and me wouldn't subside. In fact, it only intensified. Seeing this, our silent relative, unable to bear the scene any longer, interjected, "Emily, you're the worst. If you have so much to say, how about we go one-on-one? You seem to brag about your strengths, but just so you know, I've competed in national judo championships." The relative quickly approached Emily, giving her an intimidating glare. An intense aura emanated from his entire being. This relative, a man in his 30s, is known for his incredible strength. It's true he competed in the National Judo Championship. He was invited just in case Emily caused any trouble. Even Emily, sensing the danger, became fearful and stammered, "No, I don't want to fight." Once the move is complete, never bother Catherine and her family again. You should also leave quickly, but first, apologize properly. Hearing the relative's stern voice, Emily suddenly became very cooperative. "Yes, I understand. I'll leave right away. I'll give you all my large belongings. I'm truly sorry." She even prostrated herself, quickly gathered her things, and left with great haste. Seeing this, the relative smirked. Emily probably can only act tough around those she perceives as weaker than her. She grovels to those she sees as stronger. She is spineless. My husband, Tom, and I chuckled recalling Emily's hasty departure. With the nuisance gone, our moving preparations proceeded smoothly, and we soon settled into our new home. Later on, Emily rented an apartment and started living alone. As promised, Tom filed for damages. Perhaps because they went through lawyers, both Emily and her affair partner quickly complied and paid up. They probably agreed promptly because they were dealing with someone who appeared to have the powerful backing of an attorney. As the relative had said, it seems like Emily can't stand up to those stronger than her. Since then, I haven't interacted with Emily, but I know what she's up to. She was reported as arrested on the news. Combining the news contents, information from acquaintances, and my proposal experiences, it seems Emily's life went something like this. After paying the compensation, Emily was left with almost no savings. She tried to remarry her affair partner to be taken care of, but he disappeared without a trace. Desperate, she got a job at the private company but quickly quit after verbally abusing her boss. Then, shamelessly, she approached my workplace, my husband's and Tom's, demanding money. But the three of us completely ignored her and didn't engage at all, so she seemed to give up eventually. Buried in debt and desperately needing money, she reached out to delinquent friends, but no one seemed willing to help the now downtrodden Emily. Enraged, Emily assaulted one of them severely and ended up getting arrested, leading her to prison. My husband, Tom, and I all shared that sentiment. She got what she deserved. She kept up her misdeeds since her school days, always putting on a facade without ever reflecting on her actions. For someone like her, prison seemed like the appropriate place. I hope she takes this time to reflect on her past actions. On the other hand, my days with my husband and Tom have been peaceful. The three of us live harmoniously, and we are even planning a trip for the next long holiday. Additionally, our apartment, though smaller compared to the house, is easier to clean and is conveniently located near the station. Moving was definitely the right decision. We wish to continue enjoying our serene life together.